If you're moving from New England to Charleston, the HOA neighborhoods here can feel a lot different than what you're actually used to. So today we're actually going to drive through a few. We're going to look at traditional HOAs and then non-HOA communities. HOAs doesn't mean one thing in Charleston. It can mean a lot of different things depending on where you are. And the first community we're at is Stono View on Johns Island. Now this is what a lot of people think of when they hear HOA in Charleston. And for some buyers, this will check every box. This is a very lifestyle-driven HOA, and you can feel that immediately. There's actually a guy from Massachusetts driving his Jeep right now who is right behind me. The New Englanders are already here. There's walking trails here, there's tennis courts here, there's also an amazing pool and boat dock. We're gonna go see those right now. It's almost New Year's, but it is fairly warm out. They're gonna do a lot of different things down here too. They have food trucks down here. There's even like an oyster roast shack, but pool, clubhouse, very nice. You've got a view of the marsh here. So that building in front of me is where they do different events, like they do some oyster roasts and things like that. And then right now I'm standing on basically the edge of the marsh. We're down at the amenity complex. So we've got that pool and clubhouse, and we also have this marsh view here, and we've got the boat dock over here behind me. Now, the thing with the boat dock, it's a community boat dock. So if you were to move here and you had a boat, you could bring your boat there and leave it there, but only for like a set amount of time, typically for like a night. I think Stono View allows you to do it for like overnight. So it's good if you have, groups of people that are coming to visit you and things like that, and you don't want to have to go and make everybody go to the local boat ramp. You can just bring them, put your boat here, load everyone on, and then bring them back at the end of the day. So this next community is a fairly non-traditional HOA. I mean, it is technically an HOA, but this community is only $450 per year. And I want you to notice the differences between this community and the last community. A community like Stono View is going to be more expensive to live in. They have the pool, the dock, the walking trails, whereas this community, it doesn't have any of that. There's just a bylaw and a covenants that you have to follow, and it's fairly inexpensive to live here because there's no common area in this community. So some things I'm noticing here compared to the last one is I'm seeing a lot more vehicles here in this community. I'm seeing a lot of people parking all of their cars in their driveway. It's probably because there's not a lot of storage in these homes. Now, that other community did have a lot of elevated homes, so you can store things under the house, whereas here you don't have that. Stono View also has regular homes that are sitting on slabs essentially, right? So your storage is only in your garage. But I'm just seeing more stuff visually in front of the house in this community compared to the last one. Now, right now, I'm still in the community, but I'm going to turn left here on Castlewick Ave, it looks like, and I'm basically leaving the community. I'll flip the camera. You can see exactly what I'm seeing right now. So this is the end of the community. We are leaving that HOA, and now we are turning into a non-HOA neighborhood, which to me is actually pretty interesting because a lot of the homes look the same, but these homes aren't involved in the HOA. We were just driving in. And this area here is what a non-HOA looks like on Johns Island. So we're gonna go down another road here. I'll flip the camera. You can see exactly what I'm seeing right now. So we had left that other community, and now we're in a non-HOA on Johns Island. So I'm seeing ranch homes, brick ranch homes. I'm not seeing any sidewalks. There are no regulations here, so if you want to park your cars in the front lawn, you can. If you want to have soccer nets out front, you definitely can. You can do what you like over here in terms of, exterior remodeling or how your front yard looks because you're not in an HOA. And commonly what you will see is a house that is torn down and a new house is built on it. And you can see this sign right here that says end of state maintenance. So we're leaving that non-HOA and we're going back into the other HOA. And the first thing I see are sidewalks. We are leaving the $40 a month HOA and we're driving into the $117 a month HOA. To be honest, I'm seeing a lot of similar things to the other one. You're going to pay $40 a month living in an HOA versus $117 a month living in an HOA. What are you really getting differently? Well, you're getting this little pool behind me, It's not very large, but there is a pool here. And that's, from what I'm seeing, kind of it. Now, the builders are going to be different. Some of the exteriors do look a little different, but for the most part, they're very similar. Now, I will say, if you do plan to move into an HOA in the Charleston area, the HOAs that have the amenities do sell quicker on resale, and they do command more money. Now let's switch islands, because this is going to change a few things. James Island tends to feel very different from Johns Island, especially when it comes to HOAs. And this is where the conversation usually shifts when people are relocating here to Charleston. So this is Riverland Terrace, and it's one of those neighborhoods that don't fit neatly into the HOA versus non-HOA box. This community feels established in a way that cannot be replicated. People don't move here for the amenities. They move here for character and location. So things I notice here in this community, there's no sidewalks, but you have a lot more tree coverage. You have all types of homes. You have large homes, you have ranch homes, you have brand new homes. There's a little bit more space here. Nothing's really regulated. If I want to put my boat here, I can. If I want to have this style of fence, I also can. But what we're looking at too is still fairly organized and neat. This area actually does have a little bit of a feeling of a New England subdivision, something that's established in a different way. I think it just comes down to like the tree coverage and the type of, land and space that you kind of get. Even though it's not very large here, this almost feels like suburb of Boston subdivision, those smaller homes from like the 1940s and 50s that have the trees and the space and that are, neat, but not like super organized. I think Riverland Terrace really actually has the same vibe. So far, we've seen a handful of different styles of communities, that standard HOA being Stono View, what I feel everyone in Charleston thinks of when they think of an HOA. And then we've seen non-standard HOAs, and we've seen communities that don't have an HOA at all. So we're going to continue on James Island. There's a few more examples of great HOA communities on James Island that I want to show you. So this subdivision is called Lawton Harbor. And the interesting thing about this community is there are actually no regulations for things like boats. So we just saw a boat stored on that guy's lawn. You can store a boat here if you'd like. So there are some benefits here, right? You do have an HOA where you've got some regulations, so there are certain things you can and can't do. Your house has to be kept in a certain condition. You also have walking paths and crosswalks. And there's a school over here that the kids can just walk to if, you have kids and family and things like that. Now, at the end of this community, sort of like Johns Island, we're in a non-HOA. I'll flip the camera and you can see what I'm seeing right now. And here is a non-HOA that we just kind of spilled out of that last HOA community. So you can see there's differences, right? We have some older homes here. We have ranch homes. We don't have any crosswalks. There's nothing that you have to follow in terms of rules here if you're living in this area. We have a couple of huge boats parked in front of this guy's house. He's got some projects going on, which is fantastic. But this is a non-HOA community here on James Island. Very, very standard. These are ranch homes that were all built basically in the 50s and 60s, some of them in the 70s, and this is how these communities look. And what you'll notice too, right up here, we have a new subdivision, which are basically all townhomes in here. And I'll kind of angle my vehicle in so you can get a glimpse of what this actually looks like. This is an HOA. We'll drive through it. We're here, we might as well. This is an HOA that spills out from a non-HOA. And a lot of Charleston is set up this way. And this community isn't large by any means, a very small townhouse community. I'm already turning down at the end of it in the circle here. But this is what we see happening everywhere in Charleston. You'll have some type of nice HOA that the builder has come into and built all these amenities, and then you go into an established community with 1960s ranch homes. These are things that you wouldn't necessarily notice if you just looked at like the Zillow listing, right? They're not going to show you that there's a non-HOA nearby, and this non-HOA, is actually in good condition, where this non-HOA kind of needs some work. And the agents and whoever else, people selling these homes, they're not going to show you that. But that's why it's very important, if you guys are relocating here from New England and you are not used to communities like what I'm showing you, either HOAs or non-HOAs, you have to either hire an agent like myself, right? Little promotion there. You either have to do that or you've got to come down here in person and see these homes for yourself. There really is no right or wrong here. It's just different ways of living. The mistake is assuming HOA or non-HOA automatically means better. If you're relocating, this stuff matters way more than people really realize. And this is the kind of thing I help people sort through before they buy.